Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Sparkle Splatter. In this video, I'm going to show you how to finger knit. This is a really fun project and it's a great project to do together with kids. It doesn't require any fancy tools and no pointy knitting needles or hooks or anything like that. All you're going to need is some yarn and a pair of scissors and your fingers. The thicker, bulkier yarn that you might see at the craft store works really well for finger knitting. It produces I have a rope over here. It produces a nice thick rope, and you can do lots of different things with this. And the type of yarn that I'm using for this tutorial is Lion Brand's Hometown USA. This is a really soft, thick yarn. Comes in a lot of pretty colors. But definitely feel free when you're at the craft store to experiment. There's a lot of really fun yarn out there that's bright colors and multicolors, and there's metallics and sparkles and all kinds of fun yarn. So definitely feel free to experiment. So let's get started. When you're finger knitting, your hand acts like a loom and your fingers act like the pegs of the loom. So we're going to be wrapping yarn around our fingers or our pegs of our loom. So what you're going to do to start is you're going to hold the yarn and you're going to let this tail, this end, kind of hang down the front of your hand. Then what you're going to do is take the yarn and go around your index finger and then over your middle finger, under your ring finger and over your pinky finger. Then we need to come back in the other direction. So we're going to go around our pinky, over our ring finger, under our middle finger, over our index finger. So we now have, and I can get this tail out of the way a little bit, we now have one loop on each finger. In order to make our first row, we have to have 2 loops on each finger. So we're going to come back across and then back over again. So we're going to go around our index finger, back over our middle finger, under our ring finger, over our pinky, and back around. Then just do the same thing. Go over the ring finger, under the middle finger, over your index finger, and now we have 2 loops on each finger. So now what we do is we're going to take the bottom loop of each finger. So you have a bottom loop and a top loop. You're going to take this bottom loop and lift it up over top of that other loop and off of your finger, just like that. So lift up, over and off, up, over and off, up, over and off, just like that. We now have just 1 loop on each finger. So at this point, I like to just take my other hand and just kind of push all these loops down a little bit, and then you can tighten it up a little bit. Tighten up this tail. We're kind of clamping this tail with our thumb for the time being. Once it gets a little longer, we can let it hang down, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So let's do this a few more times. So that was our first row. Let's make our next row. Go around your index finger, under, over, under the pinky, and back around the pinky. Come under, over. We now have 2 loops on our fingers again. So we're just going to do the same thing. Lift up, over and off, up, over and off, up, over and off, up, over and off, just like that. Okay? I'm going to do this again, and we're going to pick up a little bit more speed this time. Okay? Go around the index, under, over, around the pinky, under, over. 2 loops on each finger. Lift up, over and off. Up, over and off. Up, over and off. Up, over and off. Just like that. At this point, I'm going to flip my hand over and show you what we've done so far. So just flip your hand over. This is our tail. We can let our tail go at this point because we've gotten a few rows in now. And then you can just kind of tighten it up a little bit. It's starting to very slightly resemble a rope. So let's work a few more rows and then we'll see how our finger knit rope is growing. Okay, around, under, over, around, under, over. up, over and off, up, over and off, up, over and off, up, over and off. Just like that, okay? So let's tighten. I like to tighten and push down after each row. I'm going to work a few more rows and then I'll show you how our rope is growing. So I've worked a few more rows and you can see it's making this nice rope. So once you get your finger knit piece as long as you want it to be, you can cut the yarn. And then what you're going to do is take this strand, you can put the ball of yarn aside, and I'm going to show you how to deal with these ends too. You're going to take your yarn and just put it through each loop. So take it, put it through the first loop like this, the second loop, the third loop, and the fourth loop. Okay, then you're going to carefully slide it off of your fingers and then pull tightly. And then what I like to do is the first and the last loop, I like to go through one more time just to make sure everything is nice and secure. And then you can just pull to tighten, just like that. And if you like to make it extra secure, just put a little knot there at the top. Just like that. So we have like a little mini strand here. And here's what a longer one looks like. It's very pretty. So what we're going to do is when you have these ends, you can just weave those in with your fingers. So just take the end, just go right down the center of your little rope that you made. So just go in into a few stitches like that. And just take your time with this part. It can be a little bit fiddly with all the ends and the stitches here. So just weave that in a couple inches or so. And then what you're going to do, once you get it, I came about 2 inches or so with mine. What you're going to do then is take your scissors and just trim that strand. You can put that aside and then just give it a little tug and that end will disappear. Then you'll just repeat it for the other side and then you'll have a nice rope. Now, in some cases you might want to tie this onto something or attach something to it, so you can leave the tail intact if you need to tie something onto it. But for the most part, you can just weave those in. So that's it. That's how you finger knit. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Sparkle and Splatter video updates. Thanks again.